What's up, you guys? It's Levi here. So you might have stumbled into this video wondering what the heck is a Yubikey? Well, today you are in luck because today I'm going to share a story about how I got my Yubikey, and through that story I'm going to tell you what a Yubikey is, why you need a Yubikey, and at the end I'm going to show you how to set up a Yubikey and how to use a Yubikey. Alright, so on to the story. About 2 months ago, I'm sitting there in my chair just browsing the interwebs on my phone like we all do way too much. And I'm sitting there thinking and I'm kind of spacing off, and all of a sudden this thought comes into my head: what can I do to better secure myself? And so I'm sitting there browsing the interwebs some more, thinking some more, and all of a sudden a text message pops up on my phone, and then a big red light dings in my head. Ding, 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 ding. We have a winner. Text messages. They're used for two-factor authentication, also known as 2FA. And for those of you that don't know what 2FA is, it's basically where you have a second factor set up on an account. So when you log into an account, you have to enter a password plus that second factor in order to be able to get into that account. And if you want to learn more on that, I have a video that explains that in very, very good detail that I'll put down below in the description for you to check out. So I'm sitting there thinking a little bit more after that, and then the thought comes into my head: simjacking. And for those of you that don't know what simjacking is basically when a hacker, or what we like to call a pirate, on this channel, goes and convinces your cell phone company to transfer your cell phone number to the pirate's device. And the pirate can then make phone calls and text messages on their device as if they were you. I've also done a video on this before that you can check out down below in the description as well if you want to learn more detail on that. It's actually my top video on YouTube. So then I started to put the pieces together in my head, and I got to thinking setting up two-factor authentication through texting is better than no two-factor authentication at all, but it leaves me a huge risk of a pirate, being able to go and do simjacking on my phone, and then they have access to all of my accounts that I have my phone tied to. And this could cause a lot of problems for me if this happens. So I wanted a way to be able to take my phone number off as a recovery option on my account, and then also be able to get rid of using text messages as two-factor authentication on my phone. There were a lot of incidents where I actually used something like Google Authenticator or Microsoft Authenticator that are apps on my phone that generate codes that I can use for two-factor authentication in order to get into applications. But that's a risk as well, because if I lose my phone, I lose access to those codes. So basically, I just wanted to get my phone completely out of the picture for two-factor authentication. So I needed a solution that allowed me to do that. So after some research, I decided to go with Yubikey. Actually, not just one Yubikey, two Yubikeys. And I'll talk to you about that later, why I specifically got two of them. So this is the specific Yubikey that I got. It's called the Yubikey 5C NFC. There's also a bunch of other options of Yubikeys out there that could fit whatever type of need someone needs them for. I don't want to take a lot of time describing these options on this video, but for the sake of time, maybe I'll do a separate video on all the different Yubikeys in the future. Leave a comment down below if this is something you'd be interested in. Anyway, I picked this specific version of the Yubikey because all my devices either have NFC so I can tap the Yubikey on them to use the Yubikey, or they have a USB-C port that I could plug in to use the USB Yubikey. If you try to say those both at the same time, it actually can be really hard to say. Alright, so what exactly is a Yubikey? Well, like I talked about before, I wanted to have a way so that I didn't have to have my phone tied to using two-factor authentication on websites and applications, because I didn't want to get simjacked, or because I didn't want to lose the code generating apps in my phone if I happen to lose or get my phone stolen. So the Yubikey replaces both of those options. It's a physical piece of equipment that you actually have to plug in or you have to scan as your second factor. Basically, any site that supports Yubikey, I can go to that site, set up Yubikey as my second factor on that site, and then from there on, I can enter my password and then use my Yubikey to log into that site and get rid of my phone number and anything related on my phone as a second factor. That previous picture that I showed you, I'll post a link down below so that you can check out all the different various options of Yubikeys. And I'm not going to describe each one of those options in this video for the sake of time, but I will do one in the future if there's enough interest. If that's something you all would be interested in, comment down below, and if I get enough interest, I'll do a video on that. I'll be honest though, there is one thing about Yubikey that I really don't like. It's the fact that there's not very many sites that support it. Probably because it comes at a cost to organizations to implement Yubikey to work as a second factor. And unfortunately, security isn't the biggest priority for organizations. It's taking your money and shredding it away from you, like this money that I have from the Federal Reserve in Kansas City that's shredded. And while it is very disappointing that there aren't a lot of sites out there that support Yubikey, there are enough sites that are critical applications to me that I thought it was worth getting the Yubikey, such as my email accounts, my Gmail, my Microsoft Outlook account, my Dropbox, my Twitter, my Amazon Web Services account, like all primary accounts that I use to help run this channel that are critical for me to keep putting content out there for you all. And not only that, email is just important anyway. Oh, and I forgot, LastPass supports it as well. So between my email and my LastPass, those are probably the most important applications that I use, and the Yubikey works on those, so it's great. So yeah, I'm super disappointed that there aren't more websites and applications that support Yubikey, but the good thing is, the most important ones for me do. And if any of you are using Outlook or Gmail out there, I highly and LastPass or even 1Password is another password manager that supports Yubikey. I highly suggest getting one. That way you could take your phone out of the two-factor authentication process and make yourself that much more secure. You put yourself in control of the security of your email accounts and password managers and not your cell phone companies. Alright, so now that you know what a Yubikey is, so I'm going to do a tutorial for you all on how to set up a Yubikey on a Gmail account and then how to use it on a Gmail account. And fortunately for you all, I haven't set it up on the main email I use for this channel, so it will be a learning experience for you all while I'm setting it up. Alright, so I'm signing into the Cybersecurity Education Gmail account right now to show you all how to set up the Yubikey on a Gmail account. And this process is going to be very, very similar for any other application or website that supports the Yubikey. The only difference is going to be you're going to have to figure out where to find the settings menu to do the setup, but the actual setup process itself will be very similar. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and sign into my Gmail account now. Click next. And once you're in your Gmail account, you have to go all the way in the upper right-hand corner and hit this icon up here. If you hover over it, you'll see your email address and your name. So then you click on Manage Your Google Account. Once you're in there, you'll get a page that looks like this, and you want to go to the Security tab. Once you're inside that Security tab, you want to scroll down to the two-step verification option and click on that. You're going to get a prompt that tells you about two-step verification. You already know what it is, or you can check out my video if you don't know already. So you're going to click Get Started, and it's going to ask you for your password again. Once you got your password typed in, you hit Next. And then there's this two-step verification screen that comes up. It's going to, by default, ask you to use your phone as a second step to sign in, especially if you have an Android phone like I do. I don't know if it'll do it if you have an iPhone, but we're just going to click Show More Options since I do have an Android. And you want to select the security key option. And if you have an iPhone and you're not seeing this specific option to use your phone on here, just hit the security key option right here. You hit that, it's going to ask, have your security key? And I'm just like, well, duh, I have my security key. I have to have it to do a video on it, right? All right, but at this point, make sure that you have your Yubikey plugged into your device. All right, and then one caveat on this is if you're using an Android phone, it's going to try to use your phone as another option in order to be able to sign in as a second factor. So it will prompt on your Android phone. You can turn that off if you want to by enrolling in the Advanced Protection Program, where then it will only use your Yubikey if you enroll in that. But by default, it doesn't set you up in that mode. And the reason it does that is because if you only have one Yubikey and you set it up for MFA on Google, and then you lose that Yubikey, you need something else in order to be able to get into your account. And it uses your phone as that other option that allows you to hit a prompt on your phone. iPhone users, I don't think that you actually have this option. Correct me if I'm wrong down in the comments. But the way to get around this is to set up two Yubikeys within Google and have one as a backup in case you lose the primary one. Which, even if you leave your phone set up in if you leave your Google set up in the default mode where it prompts on your phone and you have a Yubikey, you should still have a backup anyway. Well, for now, we're just going to leave the default on. We're not actually going to set up the Advanced Protection Program. So I'm going to go ahead and hit the next button. Alright, so you can see there's a screen in the background here that wants you to register your security key. I have my security key plugged into my device, which is my computer, and you'll get a prompt like this. And then go ahead and click OK on here. You'll get another prompt that says, continue setup. This will allow blah, blah, blah to see the make and model of your security key. Click OK. And then now I have to physically go and touch the security key. So 1 second. On the top of it, there's this little gold thing on mine that you have to touch. Alright, so then once you touch that, you'll name your security key. And what I do is I always name it like primary, because this will be my primary security key. And then you can see inside of the screen here now, the security key is my default two-step verification option. And since I'm signed into my Google account on my phone, it's going to use that as a secondary, unless I remove my phone as an option by going into the Advanced Protection Program. Alright, but like I mentioned before, you don't just want one Yubikey, you want a backup option, and now I have my backup Yubikey plugged into my computer, and we will set up the second Yubikey. So if you lose the primary one and you lose your phone, you still have a backup option. So in that case, you just go down here and you'd add that security key. We're going to put USB or Bluetooth down here when it says choose your security key. It's going to ask the same question it asked before. Do you have it? Of course I do. Click the next button. It's going to see that. You're going to get the same prompt again. Click OK. Click OK on the next one. And then it's going to have you touch your finger again on your backup one, which I'm going to go do right now. Alright, I touched my finger on the backup one. It says my security key is registered. We're going to say backup on this one. I can spell backup. Hit done. Boom. Now you got both of them inside of here. Alright, so how does this work when you actually go to sign in and need your Yubikey? Well, let me show you that next. So now I'm trying to sign back into my Gmail account. I hit the next button. And you get this nice prompt that asks you to touch your security key. And since I already have it inside of my computer, I just have to touch the key. And then now you get this screen right here that shows you the second step verification. You're all set. Go ahead and log in and check your email. And hopefully you get an email that says to smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. Which you should do right now if you haven't done already. And hit the next button and boom, you're good to go. Alright, so in closing, I highly recommend Yubikey for anyone that wants to highly secure their accounts and take control over their own accounts and not be reliant on their cell provider to protect their accounts for them. Especially sensitive accounts like your email accounts and your password managers. And I recommend that you get 2 Yubikeys and not just one, because you want to have a backup in case you lose your primary Yubikey. So make sure that you're going and setting up both of your Yubikeys as your second factor on each thing that you set up 2FA on. Like I mentioned before, I have the Yubikey catalog in the description down below, so if you want to check that out, you can find what Yubikey you need to get started with Yubikey. Just make sure that once you have your Yubikey set up, that you remove your text messaging option as a second factor and remove your phone as a recovery option. Finally, if you have any questions about Yubikeys, leave them down below in the description, the comments, not the description, and I'll get back to you on what I can for those comments. Also, if you haven't already, make sure that you're smashing that like button, hitting the subscribe button, and sharing this video out with everyone that you know, as all of these actions help promote this channel to more people, so more people like you out there in the world can help protect themselves from the cybersecurity threats out there in the world. Also, check out the affiliate links down below in the description. Anything that you sign up for, I get money, and I will take that money and put it back into this channel to make this channel better for you all. Anyway, thank you for watching, and have a fantastic day.